Okay, so I've been so excited about this interview with you, Phil. Right, Sarah?
Absolutely. It's all you talked about.
So we've tried to sort of contain ourselves because we didn't want to talk about it in advance. It's one of our #1 book club rules. So we're like, let's not talk about it until we see you today. So, how are you?
I'm doing so good. I'm so happy to be here.
We're happy to have you.
Look at how lucky I am. Surrounded by two beautiful ladies.
Oh, thank you.
And they want to talk about me. What could be better?
Well, Phil, I've known you for just a couple years. Sarah's just meeting you now, and not that I didn't think the book would be good, but I just didn't know. And it was so good. It was so good. Every part of this book I highly recommend. And you're an excellent writer, and there's so many things that I want to address. So, before I take over the conversation completely, why don't you tell us about the book and when you went?
Well, Have Laptop Will Travel is the name of the book, but the subtitle is Memoirs of a Digital Nomad, 12 Cities in 12 Months. So what I did is I ran my commercial real estate portfolio business from my smartphone and my laptop as I traveled on a 1-year odyssey around the world. I like to tell people it's like a modern day Odyssey, but instead of Odysseus, we're talking about myself, Philip Nicozisis, and I lived in 12 cities in 12 months in 10 countries on 4 continents with 48 other people. We traveled as a team who were strangers on day 1. And as you can imagine, all of that ground that we covered with people who were strangers on day 1 we were a traveling family, and we became the Tramily. It was our nickname.
I thought you were the Mangoes or something.
Well, the Tramily, our team had a name, and the team name is Mangata.
Okay.
Which is a Swedish word for the reflection that the moon makes off the water. The road-like reflection that the moon makes off the water is a Swedish word called Mangata. And I live in downtown West Palm Beach on the waterfront, and many a nights I had seen on my balcony the moon and the road-like reflection that the moon makes off the water. And then a couple of years later, I joined this company called Remote Year, where we pay them to travel around the world as a team.
Okay, that's the company.
12 cities in 12 months, yeah.
Remote Year.
Remote Year, yeah.
So if Sarah and I wanted to go, we go to Remote Year?
You can sign up for Remote Year. Now, right now, in this current situation that the world finds itself in, they suspended operations, but they are going to pick up operations again.
So this Remote Year company, you saw this opportunity.
So I was minding my own business, suffering silently, doing paperwork in my corner office in Clematis Street, West Palm Beach, above Nico's Pizza. And with not to be confused, has no affiliation with Nico Properties. Nico's Pizza is, I like to joke that's my money laundering operation for my real estate empire. That's not true. So I'm sitting there, and the ultimate time suck, as we know, is especially at work, is Facebook, right?
Oh yeah.
And
Sarah knows.
I'm doing my mundane monthly chores for my real estate company, and I go over to Facebook, the ultimate time suck, and I all of a sudden saw this ad. Keep your job, let us do the planning, and travel around the world with us. I was like, well, that sounds really interesting. And I clicked through, and that was the first time I ever heard about the term digital nomad. A digital nomad is somebody who can do their job or do their livelihood, perform their job functions.
I thought you came up with that. I thought that was your thing.
Well, some of my best ideas I got from other people.
Gotcha.
And, originality.
He's a genius, digital nomad.
Originality is forgetting who you stole it from.
Yeah.
And
that's great.
So, and then you were just like, yeah, I'm gonna do this because I remember you mentioning it. This is, and I don't know why I thought it was. I was like, that's weird. I don't know why I thought it was a bad idea.
Before I left for the 1-year Odyssey.
Yeah.
I'd run into you, and you were like, you weren't hot on the idea. And that's funny you say that, because none of my family was at all supportive of this idea. They thought I'd lost my mind. My dad was wondering, what is it that you're so unhappy about with your life that you feel like you have to leave us for a whole year? And my mom said something of the same, and then my sister said something of the same, and but nothing was going to hold me back. We started off, I met for the first time the 48 others in Split, Croatia was our first country.
Did you like
city.
them? The people?
At first, Well, yeah. In the beginning, everybody likes everybody. This remote year, this 1 year odyssey is really a microcosm for life. Like imagine it's like sticking 10 lifetimes in 1 year, maybe. Because you cover that much ground.
Right.
And on that day one, like we met at this bar where it was like an organized event for the Mangata group, the Mangoes, and everybody gets along great. And then I remember thinking, gosh, I really connect with this person. We're going to get along great this year. And then they ended up by the second month we're not even talking.
You mentioned that. You mentioned that.
You're like on opposite sides of the room.
And so if I could sum it all up, it's a bizarre social experiment.
Where are they from?
Interesting.
Are they from all over the world?
I would say out of the 49 people, I'm going to say 30 of us were from the United States.
Oh.
Maybe United States and Canada, I can't remember. But we were very well represented. We had Spain, we had South America, we had Holland, a lot of Europe, Australia.
What was the
from all over.
main goal of the program?
The main goal of the program is it's really a millennial mindset.
Okay.
Which is don't save for a house, don't save for retirement. Go get your gig going, get your money so you can see the world now.
Okay.
And are they millennials with you?
Yeah, it was mostly I travel with millennials. Now I consider myself at 52 years old, and I was 50 when we did this. I'm a pretennial. I'm a pretend millennial.
Did you tell them your age?
Is that your word?
That is my word. Well, speaking of the words, and you know this, my book has these Phil facts.
Oh, I love
that.
See these little, what would you call these? Segues,
Snippets?
these little boxes.
And Phil feelings, too.
Phil feelings, Phil facts, and no filter. Philter.
It's brilliant. Those are some of my favorite ones. Look, I pulled them out. Some of my
you have some?
No filter, Phil feelings on 238. This is so sweet. A part of me will always keep the door open for Fong. If it is meant to be, it'll be. I was like, Fong. I love Fong. I love.
Yeah, there is a romance story in the book.
And it's so eloquently written, and she's just like sort of sprinkled in throughout.
Yeah.
And like I was like, I love Fong. I want to be like Fong. I felt empowered by her. So I wrote that page. That's a Phil feeling.
That's a Phil feeling.
A no filter on page 21
is kind of can be a little bit politically incorrect.
It was so great. Can I read it?
Sure.
Okay, I don't want to. Hopefully everybody has already read it, so I don't ruin it for you. Then maybe you like this part too. No filter. Our friends on the political left are often lusting for the same state-run, centralized, planned economies that are now on the ash heap of recent history. I was like, this is amazing. This is amazing. This is around the time when you're talking
city
to
was I in there?
You were in Croatia.
Oh, in Croatia.
That was in the beginning.
Yeah, so it's really interesting. I lived in 2 post-communist countries, Czech Republic and Croatia, and then an actual currently almost communist, definitely socialist, 2 months in Argentina.
Wow.
And I always found it interesting how people who promote socialism, and maybe especially the elites and the intellectuals, the intellectual class, and a lot of professors, they don't live in these countries. I actually lived and talked to people. And for example, with the Uber drivers in Croatia, if you got a young Uber driver, he might be young where he didn't even live under communism, but he definitely did not want to go back to because I talked to these people. What do you think about your father fought in the Civil War, and now he's like, well, I'm driving Uber. The young guy would say, I'm driving Uber. I've got a tourism company. I'm giving guided tours in Split, Croatia. Diocletian's Castle is still the major landmark there, and I'm doing this and I'm doing that, and I'm going to school at night. And then that was the younger generation who loved the free market system that they now have. And then if you got an older Uber driver,
you mentioned
and you asked him about it, and he did not like the way things were now. He missed communism. He wouldn't say they would always say, well, our version of communism was a little different, but he liked the fact that everything was they gave you an apartment. Yeah. They gave you enough food, and they gave you just enough to live, and that was the older guy, the older fellow. And you know what? Guess what? I respected.
Well, you got 5 stars, and so did he.
Well, yeah, we gave each other 5 stars.
That's the takeaway I got. I was like, I know your personality, and so for people watching or listening, your personality is very like, let me just throw that out there and talk about something that could be like controversial, whatever it may be. You just jump right in. And so I could just so picture you addressing these topics with these Uber drivers like I was there. And then this guy, the takeaway was you can actually have a conversation and perhaps not agree, give each other 5-star ratings, and part ways. It was an interesting interaction.
That you were
I
allowed to
thought.
disagree and that you
Yeah.
were allowed to have a conversation.
Isn't that the way it is
and
now
still
in the United
respect each
States?
other. Oh, yeah,
Oh, yeah.
exactly.
Right.
Well, I will say, just wrapping up about Uber, I was very proud of my Uber rating. I had a 5.95 Uber rating while I traveled, because I started with a fresh account.
You had to
And-
start over?
What's that? No, because
If
I
it
had.
tanks, you get a new account. That's
I
the
didn't know
trick.
about that, but
Yeah.
really,
Mine was bad.
I was just very proud.
Mine was bad.
And then even in
Lynn's telling on
Spain,
herself.
I was always departed and gracias. 5 estrellas, por favor. 5 stars, please.
Did you learn all the languages in all the countries that you
No.
were
The
in,
best
or how
language
did
is
you
from
manage that?
Tinder is how you
Yeah.
learn. Tinder is how you learn the language in any country. I found out.
That's a no filter. If you
Interesting.
really want
A no filter.
if you really want to learn the language of the country,
hilarious.
just go on Tinder and you can actually pick up the language that way.
Because they all say the same thing.
They all say the same thing.
What if
Well,
you're
I-
married? You can't go on Tinder.
but
You
it's
can't
just
get caught
funny
with
because
Tinder.
you go on Tinder, they all say the same thing, and you learn the language. I like long walks on a beach, something. And
Yeah,
something.
yeah.
But the start of the show was always from the beginning. Fung. I was
Fung.
like really obsessed.
You were obsessed. Absolutely.
I would, because
You
I
mean the
didn't
love
know-
story.
Yes.
This is the young lady I met in Thailand.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So I don't want to give it away either, but
Well,
if you've already
Well,
read
that's
it,
what she said.
if you've already read it, then you already know. I guarantee you, our audience loves Fung. Like that's so well.
It's
well
almost
done.
like a male's version of Eat, Pray, Love.
That's actually, if you read the reviews on Amazon, I've
Yeah.
got like I think 60 reviews, almost
Yeah.
all 5 stars. There's a few haters there, but if you read through their hate,
the haters.
they're actually it's actually a pretty good that what they're hating about it is what people will like about it. So
Right.
people, more than a few people said it's the male version of Eat, Pray, Love,
Okay.
which I
Wait,
you know.
is that what they hated? What did they hate?
Well, there are a few people who said socialism works
Oh,
if you just try
please.
it the right way.
Oh, come on.
So
That's
I take,
nonsense.
as we already discussed, I take swipes at centrally planned economies, socialist economies, and runaway inflation we had in Argentina versus former communist countries like Czech Republic. There is such a renaissance of business. They had before the pandemic. Their unemployment rate's like 3%.
Wow.
The Czech people, and lots of commerce there, and people all doing very industrious people.
Of all
So-
the cities that you visited, which ones were your favorite?
Colombia.
Wait. Could you ask me the
And why?
question?
Okay.
Ask me the question
Of
again.
all the cities that you visited, which one was your favorite? Meaning, like you would like to live there, you could see
Bought real
yourself
estate,
spending
maybe?
a much more extended time there. From all aspects of what we're talking about, like from economy to, the culture,
Sure.
Or
etc.
maybe it's something different for each area.
So I have to tell you, I've done this book. Was a #1 bestseller in 7 countries. It's also available in audiobooks in my own voice.
Yeah.
I read
I know, you
for
did.
9 hours.
Well done.
Oh, wow.
And as a vegan, I don't believe in performing unnecessary cruelty on people. So we're only going to do this for 20 minutes, right? We're not going to read for 9 or 10 hours. Okay.
Okay.
So this actually turned into a lecture tour. I've given a 45-minute PowerPoint on my book, Have Laptop Will Travel, 12 Cities, 12 Months, and what it was like to run a business around the world
Okay.
with 48 other people that I didn't know on day one. And so I get asked that a lot on the lecture tour. I've been in 3 countries and all across the United States giving lecture. Every time people will ask me, what is the favorite country?
I wanted to
And
know your least
it got
favorite.
to the point, well, that's an easy one. That's Argentina, the least favorite. But
Because they're all pregnant. All the ladies are pregnant in Argentina.
yeah, it's just, interesting. South America, the big debate in all the South American countries was whether abortion should be legal or not. Like they're still at that.
Is that what it is?
That's, in other words,
I was like, what's going on
it's
in
just very
Argentina?
conservative.
Fertile myrtles.
Very conservative, and
Catholic.
everybody
Very
in South
Catholic.
America is walking around pregnant. I mean, that's just how it is.
I was like, Argentina, my takeaway is I'm picturing all these pretty ladies pregnant.
But where were we? We get
And
back on
meat,
track
and
with,
meat.
with,
No,
the, with
your
the
favorite
favorite.
city, your favorite
So I get
country.
asked this a lot.
Lynn's like on tangent.
No,
I know, no, it's good, it's good.
No.
Gotta rein her back
I
in.
get asked this a lot,
I
and the
was
thing
saying
is,
the
it
least
changes.
favorite is
Okay.
Argentina, least favorite.
Yeah.
But here's the thing.
The meat's good, I
We're
hear, but you
we're
said
actually
it wasn't.
roundabout. Let's do it this tangent. The Argentinian people, as I said in the book, kissed their way into my heart. As much as I didn't like it, they won me over because all they do all day long is walking around kissing
on
everybody.
one
Aw.
side.
It was adorable. Like if you go to the workspace, the office, the people who know each other will go around. They spend the first hour after they punch the card walking around kissing everyone they know. If you work at the supermarket,
Yeah.
or if
It's like Ohio.
you show up at
Same thing
work
in Ohio.
and they walk around. I mean, I saw this with my own eyes. I'm thinking to myself, if that happened in the United States, by noontime there'd be like 20 lawsuits on sexual harassment.
my gosh.
You know?
No, in
But anyway,
Ohio, that sounds like
as
Ohio.
much as I was
They
challenged
do.
by Argentina,
Guys,
they ended up kissing their way in my heart because I broke my foot there. And then the therapist, like the first thing he did when he met me was kiss me on the cheek. I was just like, all right, not into kissing guys, but this is a little different.
They give you
Anyway,
your cell phone or
my
something.
favorite has always been Japan.
Oh, yeah.
But it changed.
My
Here's the thing.
brother-in-law lives in Japan.
It's because I finally found a culture that's perfect. I mean, in air quotes, perfect. Like everything's done right. Everything's done on time.
With respect.
With respect. No drama. They're very non-confrontational. Really, in Asia in general, people are
like their distance?
non-confrontational.
Don't they like their distance or something?
Yeah, they don't.
Set
They don't
distance.
shake hands.
Yeah.
They're bowing. And so that. But I've been saying that for a long time. But my favorite changed a couple times. Then I started watching Narcos on Netflix and comparing it to what I really had experienced in Medellin and Bogota, the capital of
Yes.
Colombia.
Yeah.
And now I'm watching 72 episodes of Pablo Escobar in
Oh, I
Spanish.
loved it. It's so good.
incredible.
I've watched it.
It's all
It's so
all 72, right?
All of them.
I need to watch
like,
that.
it took me a little bit, but
I've had like 60 episodes. Like
phenomenal.
so
I
I mean,
finished
it's like
it.
the
You're
biggest
done
time
with-
suck ever.
you're done
It is.
with
I
Narcos?
crushed it. I've crushed every
So is Narcos, so
version.
Colombia
Mexico,
in particular, I was
all of
like
it.
That
extra
became my
interested.
favorite. But
Okay.
but see, when Fong and I reunited, I was back in Thailand in December.
Oh, nice.
Okay.
For a speaking tour on veganism, which is another part of the book here, where I gave a couple dozen lectures around the world, including Nepal and India and places like that. But anyway, Thailand spoke to me when I went back for the speaking tour because Fong and I reconnected, and I went to her family home, and we had these incredible meals, and we had this live-in masseuse that I paid for the whole family for a couple of days, and
Oh,
we
good. That's your
did
job.
we did like
Nice.
2-hour massages every day.
Did you send your
Wow.
parents on vacation?
Not that time. And
You
that-
have to.
yeah,
This is got to
other
be the
time.
second book.
Other
because
time.
you leave it open-ended. It's like,
Yeah.
I will always have a love for her.
Thank you.
And I'm not going to close that door.
Thank you.
I was like, yes. So the
During-
fact that the viewers and listeners won't have that information, you're telling us now that Fong is, you said if it's meant to be.
It's
so
meant to be,
since
right.
then you went there
You went
and like,
back.
Yes.
I love that.
So speaking of, you were asking about a follow-up book.
Yeah.
So if I do another book, which let me tell you something. This is the hardest thing I've ever done. As a matter of fact, they say writing a book is the closest thing that a man will ever come to childbirth. Okay? It is so hard.
I'm going to debate with you on that one.
Okay. Well, the
that
thing is, I'll
twice.
never know.
Yes,
we'll never
you will
know.
never
But
know.
tell me why.
We'll never know, because it
aspiring
was-
authors like myself, like in the middle.
Well,
it's
get
not
it.
easy.
You get it. Listen, you get
never
it
get a
done. You get it
child.
published.
I've never had child
And then let's
puppy.
talk.
I think
Let's
it
talk
makes you
about
very vulnerable and
well,
in a very
and I did get very personal.
permanent
did.
The
way.
book is very
you know?
personal, and the first thing my mother, my rule when I wrote the book was I don't want to write anything my mother's going to be embarrassed about or be. I don't want to disappoint my mother. That
But
was
you
my
also
only
have to
rule.
tell the truth.
But
And-
you know,
right, and I
so
did.
mentioned that. You
And-
mentioned
and
your
my
mom, though,
mom-
when you called.
Did she
when
get
you
upset?
called? I don't want to
After I
bring her up
broke my
again.
foot,
When
yeah.
when Fong's body was an elite figure.
Oh yeah.
Like something with an
wait,
MBA.
did she get
And
mad?
you were like, no.
No.
But he mentioned his mother. He's like, but my mom has taught me to respect women for things other than
My
just-
editor suggested that.
Oh,
It
really?
wasn't in there originally.
So I was like, okay, that's
Soften
nice.
the blow a little
Soften
bit.
the blow.
Oh,
That's
my
exactly
God,
what it was.
that's-
But I mean, you didn't just say you were like, she's the most perfect person, beautiful, but MBA and loving. And I'm like, oh, she sounds like an all-star. But then you threw your mom in there.
Right.
But your mom also made an appearance when she visited you.
In Portugal.
Right.
In Lisbon, Portugal, the capital. That was in December. That was the third month in Europe, and then that was just before we were moving on to Asia. Yeah. Lisbon, Portugal. You know what's amazing is we can get to the United States from Lisbon, Portugal, direct flight in 7 hours.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the most understated country in all
It's
of Europe.
amazing.
It's the weather, the cost of living.
Azores is
Azores, oh, it's just
stunning.
incredible.
I've only been to the airport. I fled a
My
date.
best friend's
I
from
you fled the date. Oh, yeah,
I fled
yeah.
a date in Italy and went there. And I wish I got to stay.
You should have
Everybody's
stayed.
so
You
nice
might have
should've
picked up
stayed.
another guy
You
because they're
should've
very, the people are very nice.
I could
My
tell
best friend is from
the
Portugal.
people at the airport were so nice.
Yeah.
I was
And
like,
they all speak
Liliana,
English.
shout out.
yeah.
They're very humble people. The thing is, they're kind of, there's this thing where they're looked down upon by the Spanish.
Really?
And I read about
Really?
it. My book is
Because
the
they
no
don't
filter.
speak Spanish, they speak Portuguese.
They're just very.
I'm from there.
You talk to the people in tourism, and they're like, oh, they're bossy. They order us around. They look down on us. And my book actually is filled with no filters about the ethnic. I mean, I call it a form of racism, but it's really probably just ethnic rivalries. You know, just the way that all the Asians.
Argentina?
I'm sorry, but the Asians they look like Asians, but they're all prejudiced against each other for the way they look about being Asian.
What do you mean?
That's like Argentinians and Brazilians.
The Argentinians and Brazilians, the way that they look. They're just
What do you mean about each other?
Just different. Listen, that everyone in Asia hates the Japanese because of among other things, most recently because of World War II.
Okay.
People don't like the Chinese because they're considered sneaky and they've got cheap haircuts and they dress without fashion.
Right,
like things like that. Yeah. The Northern Dalmatians. The Northern Dalmatians think that the Southern Dalmatians in Croatia are lazy, and the Southern Croatians think that the Northerns are like German robots. So there's all these things, and then we've got South America. So I talk a little bit about that because supposedly the United States is, and at the end of the day, this book really is, wait, let me finish this idea.
Exceptionalism.
This book really is about pro-America.
It is, I know.
It really is, and without putting anybody else down, but supposedly we're the racists, and the people in this country, a lot of the people in this country want to tear our country down, but for no good reason is basically the case that I'm making here in this book, because I traveled around the world, I lived around the world for a year, and I saw how people are prejudiced against other people, really for no good reason.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I don't judge it, because the thing is, somehow, some way, I think I was just born this way. I just have love in my heart for people from all countries. That's just how it is.
Well said and well written, because you definitely wrapped it up in the book like that. You see how I have American exceptionalism.
You really did tear through this book.
I did.
I don't know anybody.
That's why I have a lot to say about it.
She can write the cliff notes.
But I like how you said this. You were nice. You were like, at the end of the day, the same sun is still shining on both roofs. So you
again, my editor put that in there. No, just actually no. That really was my line, because I got that from. It's a line from, some of my best ideas I got from other people.
Correct.
Paramahansa Yogananda, who wrote the autobiography of a yogi, my favorite book next to the World Peace Diet. He said something that, and when I read that in his book, I was like, yeah, that's exactly right. Like the rich man, the poor man, the same sun is shining on their houses, and also when they're gone and they're just a bunch of bones. Like who was the rich man? Who was the poor man?
Right. Right.
Can't take it with you.
That was another thing I thought that was interesting when you mentioned that you're not just stroking a check at a black tie event. You're actually getting really involved in some of these countries and giving
Well, you're
back.
getting me so excited about this book. I think I'm going to travel again around the world. This is like,
nice.
It's all coming back to me here.
Would you?
Absolutely. But like I was saying before, with Fong and I reuniting, it's going to be, the next book idea I have is Have Family Will Travel. And so if we got like a tyke or two, that we do the same thing, but like homeschool the kid and do do language training for each country, and talk about a well-rounded kid. That would just be,
that would be amazing.
Oh, I see you have an old version. This is food. You've got like a collectible. Not to change stuff. This is what do they call this? A badge.
Yeah.
It says Food Love Life, and that was the first pressing, and then a few thousand copies later, we qualified for the international bestseller logo. So this is don't.
Wait, this is good or bad?
This is good. You've got in my mind. Matter of fact, I'll trade you.
No,
Okay.
I got this one. I would need you to sign it too.
Okay, good.
She has all her notes.
This was wonderful. I could go on and on forever and ask a million more questions, but I think we need to take a break and we'll be right back.
Hey, I'm Dean Napolitano, and you're watching me on WRPB TCV. Check us out.
And we're back. And we have a very important question by Sarah.
Yes.
Go ahead,
How many
Sarah.
people at this table like meat?
But I could not like it.
Oh, my husband's Brazilian, so I have to eat meat. Like that's the name of the game. Picanha all the way. So you don't like meat.
Do you know how if someone's a vegan?
How?
Don't worry, they'll tell you.
Oh, of course. They're gonna preach it.
So yeah, I've been a vegan for 10 years because I went to, right here in West Palm Beach, Florida, Hippocrates Health Institute 10 years ago for their 3-week program. Then I went back to their 9-week health educator program, became a certified health educator. Then I started lecturing about plant-based nutrition. And so part of my mission when I traveled running my country. Now, I am looking for a country to rule. But before that.
Buy an island.
Running my real estate company around the world, 12 cities, 12 months. Part of my, I guess you call it a side hustle, although I didn't do it for money, was I gave lectures through Hippocrates Health Institute certification. I gave lectures in Nepal, in India, and I've been to, in the last 2 years, including in the book, 15 countries, lecturing to audiences large and small about the benefits of the plant-based lifestyle. So that's
How many converts?
I would say, there's many people. I would say several dozen people I know became vegan. Many of the people I traveled with, the digital nomads, if I was their roommate that month, you darn well better be sure that they were vegan that month. They did, and they liked it because I was. One of the nice things about being Greek American and growing up Greek American is you know about food. You know how to whip something up in the kitchen. So I was never good at cleaning with the people that I lived with during my year abroad. I wasn't good at cleaning the kitchen. As a matter of fact, I'm very sloppy.
Okay.
But I'm really good at sourcing provisions in the grocery store and making all kinds of vegan items. And even there's a Phil Food. There's a couple recipes of Phil, P-H-O-O-D, Phil Food, including a live mock tuna. You soak sunflower seeds for overnight, and then you just scramble up. You soak the seeds, and you scramble it up with some celery and some onions. It literally tastes like tuna fish. And that's vegan, of course.
Were you able to sustain that lifestyle in every place you went, easily?
Wait, wait a minute.
No way that tastes like tuna.
I believe it.
Listen.
My husband also fishes, deep sea fishing. So that fresh tuna,
I think we should have him here at this table another time.
You know what I mean? But
you know what you're doing. You know what you're doing.
Yeah.
But anyway, what do you think about a vegetarian? Is that one step closer? Because I love cheese, and isn't that the difference?
Well, veganism, vegetarian.
So vegetarian is it's like milk and dairy is like liquid meat.
Yeah.
From a health perspective,
eggs.
It's like liquid meat, and so if we know not to eat big meat, little meat, swimming meat like fish, big meat is the cows, little meat is the chickens. Okay. Why would we want to eat liquid meat?
Why did you gain 10 pounds then?
Because I was having a wonderful time eating all kinds of vegan food.
Is that what it was?
So yeah, and also wine. When I was in Argentina, I really got a taste for Malbec, and that's in the beautiful city. Why can't I remember that city right? Mendoza. The city of Mendoza has their Malbec, and it actually comes from the technology from the Romans with the aqueducts, that the snow melts and the water runs down, collects in the aqueducts, and irrigates the grapes. Otherwise, there would be no wine industry in Argentina. And I mean, talk about pricing. I mean, you can go to a restaurant in the United States and literally cheat the wine list by picking a good, decent Argentinian wine still today. But when you're in Argentina and the stuff's cheaper than water,
right? And
you're just, had a ball. We drank wine every night with my roommates. We told stories. We howled out loud. We're also drinking coca tea from coca leaves that they make that white stuff from. It's non-processed. It's all legal down there.
Oh yeah, you talked about that.
Did you say legal. You had done ayahuasca before?
So we're going to talk about.
Did you do that on this
trip? That was in Peru,
Yes.
Chapter 9.
Wow, that's jumping off the
And that
deep
was,
end.
I write about. It's a sacred plant ceremony.
When were you
with
working? Ever?
Well, that's the interesting thing
how
about
do
the
you
business.
That's the whole
send
idea.
the email while you're on ayahuasca?
There was a lot of people had a hard time with that in my team, the Mango team.
I can imagine.
Distractions, basically partying and not being focused. With me, I match energy with energy. So when I wake up and there's 50 emails that I have to react to, and at the beginning of the month, I have to make sure the rents are collected. I have to make sure the mortgages are paid, and then I have to deal with there's things I have to deal with. People will depend on me, like doing a new lease, doing a new commercial lease, moving out a tenant, working with brokers, working with lawyers on situations that come up.
Sure.
So it's an ongoing.
It's an ongoing thing where I don't have to literally work so I can, some people were like headhunters for technology companies. And so if they didn't sell a deal, they didn't eat that month.
Well, what about the Bitcoin guy?
The Bitcoin guy, he was
He was working, right?
He was working, but he really, I mean, Bitcoin crashed when we were there.
Oh.
But he had bought it at like $500.
Yeah.
$500 a coin.
Wow.
And it went up to like almost 20,000 when we were in Croatia, and then it fell, but he still believed in it. He still made a lot of money on it, and he
it's
was
like
still...
Yeah, it's so interesting to run your own business
but-
and to be an author and to go on this program. So how did you...
So the author thing, that's interesting.
lot,
It was
yeah.
actually my mother who told me that I should write a book about all this. I said, Mom, I said, no, I'm gonna write a book, but I'm gonna write a vegan book. So for the first 3 months of my trip, when I was in Europe, I was actually writing a vegan book that's still in process. It's called The Vegan Manifesto.
Oh, yeah.
That'll probably actually be my next book.
Yeah, I saw that.
The Vegan Manifesto. But I always had in the back something, you know how there's this like the person within the person that kind of knows what's right in your life? Maybe not. Some of us, I don't talk to that person all the time. But something told me to keep a diary. So I was keeping a daily diary on my electronic notepad.
Okay.
But more than that, I had a private travel channel on Facebook. Not for others. It was really for no one else to see. I was cataloging and taking pictures and captioning things that I thought were really cool as my journey from the day one.
Right.
Wow.
So when it occurred to me it's time to write this book.
Right.
And actually the book, my inspiration for the book came with divining the title. Somehow, some way, once in a while we get lucky. Once in a while the ball bounces our way with life. I came up with this title, Have Laptop Will Travel. I thought it was so cool. And then I also had this divine inspiration, this vision that the book cover would be sitting at the foot of Machu Picchu on my laptop working remotely, which of course I wasn't. I mean, that was just staged.
Right.
I really was there at that time.
Nice, though. That's good.
And actually, Fong took that picture.
Did she?
She did.
Where's the photo cred?
Yeah, right.
It's in there. It's in the back there.
Okay.
It's in the back there. And so, if it wasn't for me coming up with the title and also the cover idea, and then from day one having basically a storyboard on the Facebook page.
Sure.
Then I traveled with this wonderful, wonderful young lady. Her real name's Lauren, but in the book she's Lola. We became really good friends. She's freelance for graphics, but she'll do anything. So I was like, Lauren, do you want to help me be my project coordinator? Because I didn't have a ghostwriter. I didn't want to have a ghostwriter. I wrote my book, but she helped me organize. So she went through my private Facebook page and helped me make an outline for each chapter.
Sort of like a storyboard.
A storyboard. And as it turns out,
that's amazing.
Each chapter, 12 cities, 12 months, so there's 12 chapters. There's one chapter per city.
Right.
Which I think for the consumer lays out really nicely, because what I hear people is they jump around to the cities. Yeah, because if they're from a certain city,
they want to see their favorite spot.
They want their favorite spot. It's kind of like almost like a travel. Well, it is a travel log, but
manual.
It's like a travel manual.
Yeah,
That's right.
yeah.
That's right. So, if it wasn't for keeping a diary and then also a log on a private Facebook channel, the book would have never happened, because a lot of with travel is like it just you forget.
Yeah.
Right.
You forget. You really, really do.
So if I wanted to go or Sarah wanted to go, do we have to be like gazillionaires to go or what?
What's
the deal?
Okay, so back then it was, and I think it still is, when they reactivate the company. Right now they're suspended. But for the 12-month program, it's $5,000 with remote year. It's $5,000 down, which is non-refundable, and then $2,000 a month for 11 months. So the 12th month is free, and the $2,000 gets you your rent. You'll have 2 roommates most likely, private room, private bath, gets you your rent and your travel. Wow. And your programming and the community. And we didn't even talk about the philanthropic things that they had us doing. They gave us our workspace, our shared office space. We were in like places like WeWork. Okay. So it wasn't just us, 49 of us, Mangata people, the Mangos. Then we were in this like WeWork building, a 10-story WeWork with like 3,000 other digital nomads. So you can imagine the interaction and the connections that I made. Where I'm still unpacking and processing a lot of this.
It's like the hostel, like back in the 80s and 90s, it was all about hostels, like going from hostel to hostel. And this is like on a whole nother level since they've got it planned out.
Yeah, and I hope with this pandemic, we've all seen all of the unintended consequences, all of the permutations, and all the things that are happening. That, long story short, I hope they're not permanent. That I hope that the digital nomad lifestyle will resume again and be better than ever, because honestly, next to being vegan, this is probably the best decision I ever made, which is to travel for the whole year.
Really? So you're really happy you went. What do you think you took away from it, though, other than just seeing new places?
I'll tell you,
book?
actually, this was not planned, your question, but it's going to be like I'm going to hit it out of the park right now. You ready? Okay.
Let's hear it.
I wrote what's the meaning of it all is this, is that I wrote this book. The last thing I ever wanted to come off as is that, look at me, look at this cool guy doing all this cool stuff. It's what I wrote the book for is to inspire others that their life, and my hope for you, Sarah, and my hope for you, Miss Lynn, is that your life is a CAPE life, a CAPE life. CAPE life stands for celebratory, adventurous, purposeful, and extraordinary.
I love that.
And so I hope, and so I really think, people do like the book, and so I hope what they like about it is that it will inspire them to have a CAPE life, celebratory, adventurous, purposeful,
I'm writing it down.
and extraordinary.
Love it. Thank you, Phil.
Thank you.
Thank you.